Welcome back everyone. I'm making a series of videos that focus on debunking the silly claim that many Indian netizens make, which is that India is a superpower. More specifically, that India is equal to or has already surpassed China. This is obviously untrue and laughable. Anyone with an ounce of understanding and brainpower would know this. Now, calm down Indians and watch the video before you flood my comments, as I will be examining India's performance in the Olympic Games. Surely, India, being a superpower like the US or China, would top the Olympic medal table, right? Nope. It actually places under countries such as North Korea, Ethiopia, Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, and many others. With a population of over 1.4 billion people and many different cultures and ethnicities, you would think India would be a dominant player at the Olympics. The fact that it isn't reflects deeper systemic issues that affect sports culture, talent development, infrastructure, and support for athletes. So let's take a look at why India, the so-called superpower, fails so miserably in the Olympics. Insufficient investment in sports infrastructure. A key reason for India's failure at the Olympics is the lack of robust sports infrastructure. While cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and Bengaluru may have decent facilities, the majority of the country still suffers from a shortage of sports amenities and equipment. Training centers, stadiums, and gyms that meet international standards are few and far between, especially in rural areas where access to resources is even more limited. Even toilets are hard to find in the rural areas. Countries like the US, China, and Russia have invested heavily in building world-class training facilities for their athletes. These nations not only offer modern stadiums, but also provide cutting-edge medical care, sports science research, and psychological and biological support, all of which contribute to their athletes' success at the Olympics. In contrast, Indian athletes often have to train with outdated equipment and limited access to these essential resources. The lack of suitable infrastructure hampers the potential of talented athletes, limiting their ability to compete effectively at the highest levels of international competition. This is just further proof that India is not the great power that netizens claim it is. Too poor to invest in sports facilities, which translates to them crashing in the Olympics. Cricket dominance and neglect of other sports. India's obsession with cricket has arguably been a double-edged sword. While the country has excelled in cricket with a history of dominance in international tournaments like the ICC World Cup, this obsession has led to the neglect of other sports. Cricket, with its massive fan base, sponsorships, and media attention, overshadows almost every other sport in India. The result is that a disproportionate amount of the country's sports infrastructure, funding, and media coverage is directed towards cricket, leaving little for other disciplines. So why is it that China also has a national sport, which they are dominant in, table tennis, yet are able to compete in the Olympics in almost every other discipline? Simple, because China is a superpower with the economic strength and funding available to invest in their athletes. Sorry for the truth, angry Indian netizens. Discouraged young athletes do not pursue careers in other sports, as they may not see viable opportunities or the same level of financial success. India's one-sport focus leaves it vulnerable on the Olympic stage. While India has been successful in a few sports like badminton, wrestling, and field hockey, the general lack of interest and infrastructure in other Olympic disciplines contributes to its overall poor performance. Underdeveloped talent identification and development systems. In many countries, identifying and nurturing talent from a young age is a well-established process. However, India lacks a nationwide, systematic approach to scouting and developing young athletes. Just look at England or Spain and their massive global scouting network for football. While the country does have a sizable youth population, this potential is not always tapped into because there are few channels for discovering talent early in their careers. In countries like China, the United States, and Australia, young athletes are identified in schools and local clubs, where coaches and scouts are tasked with identifying those who show exceptional promise. These athletes are then guided into specialized training programs that help them hone their skills in preparation for national and international competitions. India, on the other hand, lacks a coherent and nationwide mechanism to spot young talent early. As a result, many talented athletes go unnoticed or are left without proper guidance and support, leading to their potential being wasted. Even when potential athletes are discovered, the lack of specialized academies or coaching means that many never reach their full potential. Although one discipline which India excels in is chess. Imagine if they had the same funding, infrastructure and talent development system in other sports as they do in chess and cricket. Then they really would compete at the Olympics. Government policies and bureaucracy. Government involvement in sports has been inconsistent and plagued by inefficiency. The Indian government has introduced a variety of programs and schemes, such as the Khelo India program, aimed at promoting grassroots sports and identifying young talent. However, these initiatives are often hindered by bureaucratic hurdles, lack of clear implementation strategies, and a lack of consistent funding. The inefficiencies in India's sports governance have been well documented, with corruption and political interference often leading to mismanagement of funds. As a result, athletes who are capable of excelling on the global stage find themselves without the necessary support, both in terms of financial backing and logistical assistance. In contrast, countries with strong sporting traditions like the United States and Russia have a clear and well-organized system for supporting athletes from the grassroots level all the way to the international competition stage. Furthermore, India's sports policy is often reactive rather than proactive. The focus on Olympic performance tends to be concentrated around the time of the Games, with limited long-term planning for athlete development. In other countries, funding and support are more stable and predictable, enabling athletes to plan their careers well in advance. In India, athletes often struggle to secure resources, and their preparation for the Olympics is hindered by these financial and logistical constraints. There you have it, a combination of insufficient investment in sports infrastructure, cricket dominance, and neglect of other sports. Poor talent identification and development systems and government policy has made India a non-player in the Olympic Games. Moreover, the root cause is because they do not have the funds available to invest in sports infrastructure and talent systems, because they are not a superpower with a great economy. Once again, 80% poverty rate and GDP per capita of under $3,000 is not the definition of a superpower. Sorry for bursting your bubble, angry Indian netizens. If you liked this video, then please like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching.